Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to another EdenOS Chief Delegate meeting. This is meeting number 10. We're into double digits. Things are getting serious now. So it is December 23rd, and this will come out today, so you all get this fresh and heading to the holidays, something to keep you entertained. So the first item on our agenda is just to do individual updates. So I will go first since I'm talking. In terms of the transparency efforts, I have made contact with a vendor who is going to assist with providing more information and visualization into DPoS on a few of the EOS.io chains, which is interesting. So I know this is Eden on EOS. The money really won't, I mean, it's a copy paste. So it's not like it's a ton of these funds are going to go towards something that is about other chains. But I think it creates, it's worth to have benchmarks to compare ourselves against. So I think it'll be interesting to see, and it's like a historical look. So what this will end up showing is over time, over the past three and a half years, how have the vote distributions changed over time, and what entities and what BPs have moved. And so I think it'll be an interesting story. Yeah, so that's basically where I'm at. I have made progress. I found a vendor, so it's all looking really good, and it won't be overly expensive either. So in terms of a use of funds, this will be pretty efficient, I think. And the output from that will be hopefully a very interesting story about where we've been, where we are, and then maybe help to define where we go as far as DPoS and voting and how that all looks. So that's interesting. The other thing I'll speak, I should mention, is the Korean community have come together. They had a bit of a convention of sorts of Korean Eden members, and they are starting their own Eden. And so they haven't done an official election yet that didn't use the Fractal Democracy political playoff process, but they've done more of a traditional election with a group of members who are committed to creating a proper Eden. So really exciting. They took it upon themselves to do this. And with that, I've taken 300 EOS of my chief delegate funding and donated it to that community for their purposes to kind of build out a proper Eden. So that's my update. We can go clockwise. If Randall, you want to go next?
Yeah, for your support, we are looking to hire more people to bring them on board so that they can help out with support. We started developing the merchant account, and also finishing up some development work. Otherwise, basically, we're just creating articles and distributing it. So pretty much that's about it.
Cool. The articles, are they through your website, Randall? If people want to read some of those?
So what we are going to be doing now is every week we will tweet some of the how-to guides and articles so that people can become familiar with some of the things that is going on in the eosphere, right? So some of the things that people were having was the RAM CPU. So I think it was Monday, we tweeted something out so that people know how to use Power Up and all that stuff. So we are going to make it consistently. And we have people who are actually helping create these guides. I think Aaron had I think it was a Reddit post that he put out there. We just took it and pretty much made a guide, and we just posted it out. So that's what we are trying to do so that we can get the community to at least learn about EOS and learn how to do things over time until like contract pays and all these easier protocols are built. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Aaron, you are next.
Sure. I guess to kind of play off of that, I don't have any updates regarding the account creation side of things. But I was going to mention that it also is sort of like your effort, Chris, where you were like, this benefits EOS and it does apply to other chains. That's the same way our project is as well. Like, we're building this so that it works across the ecosystem. And these sorts of processes like that are going to be kind of hopefully the olive branches that help bring us all together. So hopefully people also see the benefit in that. I know occasionally you'll see the tweets and whatever, where people are talking tribalism towards one thing. And it's like, well, if you look at it differently, you might see that doing this kind of cross-chain thing really does provide some benefit that you can't get if you just exist in your silo. And that was a really long way of saying that the reason that there's no progress to report is because right now my team is all hands on deck for these research papers that are coming out in the near future, which, to Randall's point, like one of the things that I've been focused on over the last couple days in writing is how we make that stuff easier for users, for every application that's built in the EOS-IO space. You shouldn't have a different experience if you're using one wallet versus another, in that, you know, you have to bother with resources or buying RAM or in how it's presented. Like, we need like a universal way of doing things. And that is the proposal that I've been focused on, and have a couple of members of the team researching what exists outside of EOS-IO and inside of EOS-IO to make this happen. So we're, for the next probably couple weeks, most of our development is on pause as we put all eyes into this, because we really think it's going to be a big part of what the future of EOS looks like. It might not be us building it, but if we can at least express the ideas so that way other people can help build it, it's going to make this ecosystem better, make Eden better, make everything more easy to use for the average person that wants to be involved in any of these processes, whether it's Eden or an exchange or a social network or whatever. Just elevating everything we have.
That's awesome. For the research on the other chains, will that show up in the paper? Will there be some comparative?
We're hoping so.
Cool.
Just as like an example, like we dug pretty deep into things like Wallet Connect and MetaMask, and which are two of the rather large ones out there in the Ethereum and Solana and other spaces that really utilize the EVM stack, and trying to figure out ways that we can bring them into our ecosystem if that's possible. The reasons that we might not be able to, some cool things that they do that we should maybe bring in-house and be able to do ourselves, and just the amount that is in the paper is really going to be based on the deadlines that are coming up. You know, I think we could probably spend 6 months doing a really deep dive and come out with like hundreds of pages of research on like what's cool, what works, what doesn't work, and what we should do. But we were only given like 8 weeks total to do this stuff. So we'll see how much ends up in it, but at least we have the knowledge, and we really do want to be able to share it. So hopefully we hit that bar for release.
Awesome. Yeah, there's so much there. Like you could spend a year just reviewing. There's so much in the ecosystem in general, eCrypto.
Yeah.
So good luck.
Yeah, and that's just on like one topic of how users interact with the blockchain. So multiply that by all the other cool topics we've discovered along the way, and it's just it's going to be hopefully an ongoing process that everyone can be involved in. So at least that's my hope.
Okay, right on. Thank you. Lovejoy, you're next.
Hello. It's been kind of a strange week. Lots going on in the EOS world. Trying to keep track of everything that's happening. I've been mostly focused on, as far as Eden goes, just getting anyone who's interested in sort of Eden public works stuff organized in the Eden expression channel on Discord, and generally trying to get folks over to Discord if possible, to talk about what needs to get done on the day-to-day, what people have energy to do, what people are already doing, and try and preempt a little bit of what I anticipate to be with the weekly check-in or the weekly stand-ups that will be happening under the new Eden 2.0. So kind of like to get a crew. We've got some folks that are pretty active in there. Like Dario has been showing up a lot, so props to EOS support, and Malencio and Chuck McDonald, and there's a handful of people who are starting to chime in over there. Yeah, I also contributed 300 EOS to the Korean contingent for their new Eden. I feel like I would extend that same offer to other communities that are standing up, that have taken the initiative to stand up groups. And so I don't want anyone to feel like we're just favoring the Korean community, but they've been putting in some serious efforts, and really props to them for getting that off the ground and moving forward on that. Yeah, budgetarily wise, I've been planning on also this this go around sending more resources to the to support and to the bees and Violet Garden once again. And then I'm just looking to pay people to get like moderation and other stuff done. And I'll kind of probably taper off the amount of support that I'm sending your amazing projects, and try to, like, as possible, as different individuals of the community start stepping up to do different things that need to get done, start putting more of it in that direction. I didn't prepare very good notes, so I don't really have much more to add right now, but that'll be about it. Happy holidays, everyone.
Absolutely. You're wearing plaid like a traditional person would in the cold.
Yeah, I'm sitting in an RV, which
Awesome. Okay, Jesse, you're up.
Hey guys, we are working on the next iteration of EOS Bees. We've put together a new funding algorithm, new incentive structure. I am working on educating the hives. It's a pretty decent change, so just trying to get everyone to understand it. I'm still working on the white paper that I hope will be done in a week or two. And tomorrow we're going to announce a little sneak peek, launching a new series called Meet the Hives. I'm going to be interviewing the leaders of all of our hives. So we're going to get different perspectives on where they're coming from. We filmed the first episode with the Hindi hive, and pretty shocking piece of news came out of it, at least from my perspective. Apparently, in India, the major exchanges do not allow EOS withdrawals to the chain. Binance, for example, Binance India, if you want to withdraw your EOS, it's wrapped EOS onto Binance Smart Chain only. And so everyone in India cannot use EOS to participate in our governance structure. And so Vitruvius, he's the princess bee of the Hindi hive, he claims that we need many, many people to reach out to these exchanges and say, no, we want native EOS. We want native EOS. Like, he messaged me the other day, he wanted to give a bonus to some of his bees, and he wanted to swap his BSC EOS with native EOS. It's crazy. I mean, there's obviously so many people in India. And so, yeah, we got a lot of work to do in India to get that situation settled.
Is
Yeah,
that
re-
all other coins? Like, is it just an EOS thing, or is that like just
Right.
an India thing?
I asked that question. I didn't get so I straight up asked him, well, what about Bitcoin? And he kind of talked around it. I don't think he knows about Bitcoin, but I would assume that Bitcoin, you can withdraw to a Bitcoin wallet. But so the answer is I don't know about the other coins.
And do we know, is it legislated? The reason for this, is it to do with
So
illegal?
I asked that question straight up. Is it a legal thing? He also said he didn't know, because he had implied that if we had a lot of people reaching out to the exchanges, so I'm like, okay, so that implies that it's just an interest problem. I would think, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be legal. especially if other Bitcoins, other ETH Bitcoin, if they're able to withdraw to a wallet. So the Hindi Hive has not been funded yet. They're one of the 3 hives that are newly coming online on January 1st. One of their first prerogative is to look into this issue and see what the hell is going on. And then hopefully I can report back once we know a little bit more.
Cool.
Yeah, please do. It's definitely worth
Yeah,
trying
that's
to figure
crazy. I didn't even know there was a wrapped EOS on BSC.
Me neither.
Yeah.
out. Huh.
So the first episode of Meet the Hives was very fruitful, and hopefully we can learn a lot more with all the other hives when I do it.
Yeah.
Meet the Hives. It's a great name. What channel are you putting this on? Where should people subscribe?
Well, the EOS Bees has a YouTube channel. I'm just waiting for one of our bees to make the thumbnail for the video. I mean, it's all ready to go. It's unlisted. So hopefully by tomorrow morning, I can make it public, and then you'll watch it on our channel. You can subscribe.
So if I type EOSBs, I should find it
Yeah,
in YouTube.
I think. I mean, we have so little subscribers, but yeah, it's just EOS Bees.
I found the turkey one. Okay. Well, for next meeting, we'll have a link maybe that we can tell people how to find it.
Well, here someone else talk, and then I'll give the link, or I'll say the link if anyone
okay.
wants to.
Sweet.
We can put it in the notes on this video too. So
Yeah, I could.
We're not doing notes on these videos though, right?
I could add it to the description though. So
the
if you throw it in
description and
chat,
the
I could at
YouTube.
least-
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool.
Love joining us. Okay, John, you're up.
I hired a new employee. So that's cool.
Another one?
Just the same one.
Okay.
But I'll just make that official. So just been onboarding him, sort of bringing him to the sort of EOS world slowly, I guess. Funny to laugh. But other than that, been taking a bit easy. Yesterday I went to the park and I read a book. So yeah, just doing
More equal animals. Just kidding.
was it fiction or nonfiction?
Non-fiction. It was Thomas Sowell, Discrimination and Disparities. It's an interesting
Cool.
read.
Sounds interesting.
No, I'm a big fan of him. Just chilling. It's like Christmas Eve here, so I'm gonna chill out, do Christmas, and then come back and hit harder.
Cool. You're a new guy. Any feedback so far on what he thinks of EOS and how that learning curve is for him?
Yeah, not so much feedback at the moment. I've just been throwing lots, at him, but he likes the idea of Eden, and we'll get him matched up. Actually, also another Eden member, Zach Dexter, he's been helping me out with just company stuff, doing the bloody tax lodgements we got to do. I think it's 401k. It's like the similar thing over there. I don't know, but working that out. If I don't have I don't know. I've got some problem where I just can't handle like government forms and things like that, and my brain just shuts down. So it's been very good to have Zach holding my hand and working out how that happens and how to pay people salaries and sick leave and superannuation and tax and all that crap. So yeah, big help.
He's keeping you out of jail, so that's probably a good guy to have around.
Yeah.
Can I bring up something randomly, real quick?
Yes, of course.
If John is done with this update, I was reading the Eden on EOS Telegram chat the other day, yesterday, and I had a good laugh, and it kind of makes me think of John on board as new employee into EOS, and all. I was kind of laughing because that implies a certain amount of getting the backstory and just getting context and situated. And I was reading the Eden on EOS thing, and there's this new person, Garbanzo, who was asking questions, and I think was trying to like figure out which way was up and what the heck's going on. And I suddenly just got this glimpse into what it must be like for a complete newbie to be coming into the Eden on EOS channel. And I was like, oh my God. And they offered to, they're like looking for ways to that they could get, you know, grounded and oriented. And this person, Darren, wrote, "That's great, but I would say to participate in this particular channel requires a level of understanding of context, history, and some technical understanding. It would be unfair on you if you were looking to contribute and weren't up to speed." And this person says, "How do you suggest," Garbanzo says, "how do you suggest achieving this level of understanding?" And Darren's response was, "Live through the pain." I was like, well, that's fair, you know, like, and then he says, "For how long?" And then he's like, "Actually, there's probably better channels for you. I'm probably not the person to ask. There's more qualified people who can answer. How will I know when I am up to snuff? I learned ASL by simply going to ASL meetings and asking questions. Immersion is the best way to learn, in my opinion." Anyway, this goes on for a while.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, it made me think maybe it'd be kind of fruitful as a way of learning, you know, continuously like practicing, seeing what this looks like to the eyes of the uninitiated. It'd almost be interesting to do like I almost want an AMA, but where it's just we's asking questions that have no concept of what the heck's going on, and then we just jump in, maybe on voice and Telegram, and just do our best to answer the questions. And I bet the questions that they ask would be super informative in helping us try and understand what the journey is that people need to take to get, you know, into where we are. And I know things are going to change a lot with the upcoming white paper and stuff, but I think it'd be a worthy experiment. I'm kind of thinking about trying to initiate something like that.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
once we got like a website, you know, we can have like this sort of like centralized spot where, you know, all new people can come and sort of get a bit of info. But I think like infographics would be pretty cool. Just, you know, something that represents the ENF, and then off the ENF you've got like 21 BPs kind of thing, and then, you know, Helios or whatever, and that's like all sort of demonstrated in the sort of, you know, graphic. You know, people like the sort of, you know, the visual information. So yeah,
infographics would be huge.
Yeah,
I'd love to see.
Yeah, not everyone likes the. Sorry, go on, Aaron.
No, I was just going to say, having maybe even a group of people that specifically looks at this could be of value. I know from our side, every time we, like, kind of circling back to this whole idea of a new employee, the people we've onboarded recently, the first thing we told them to do, we were like, go create an account in Anchor and document your journey. Like, we really want to know that new user experience. And that same approach could be applied towards wanting to be involved in Eden on EOS. And we're going to find people, I think, that are joining Eden on EOS because they want to experience the Eden process, and they don't really know anything about EOS necessarily, and all the history, which I feel is what Darren was kind of alluding to in those messages in response, because this is the application of the process for a specific thing. So, you know, it is really hard to get that back history. It'd be like you wanting to run for a political position in a country that you just moved to and you knew nothing about. It's like, well, how do you run for that position? Well, you got to figure out the history of this country and the problems of the country. And so it's, I don't know. It'll be cool when there's eventually a Eden process that exists that is not on such a specific topic. Because I feel like a more broad topic that approached these processes that people could more easily relate to would let them get involved in the processes without needing all that backstory. We have this like super niche thing right now that you really gotta just immerse yourself in to be able to understand where this specific instance is at. So,
right, making this more universal experience instead of like this, like a bunch of like war vets sitting around a like a
Right.
smoky table, like, oh, you don't understand what we've been through. Like, pull up a chair. I'm like, maybe I don't want to.
yep. Look at this scar.
Were you gonna say something, John? I don't know.
Oh, there's just like 3 kangaroos in my backyard.
Oh,
I think there's a baby one. Yeah, there's a baby one too. Pretty cool.
That's cool.
this will be the first chief delegate meeting with a live kangaroo,
Yeah. Yeah,
and maybe not the last. Yeah,
See
so
if they want to run. They could be a candidate.
so did we know?
All right, so, oh,
go ahead.
are you
That's
ready
right.
to move on to another topic?
I'm ready.
So I want to bring up a message from Dan Larimer in regards to Eden 2.0 and chief delegates in particular. So someone messaged, the Pfizer CEO would meet with the chief delegates and convince most of them that vaccinating children 3 times is a necessity. And then Dan responded, which is why Eden 2.0 does not have a standing set of chief delegates. And I have just a couple thoughts on that personally, and then we can go around the room. So it seems like our procrastination of not setting up a legal entity maybe has worked out. Perhaps it's, I don't know, but still worth it to make one so we can get, contracted, whatever. I don't necessarily want to go there, but the other thing I want to say is that I understand the direction, but it's still a little sad. Like from my experience, being chief delegates with you guys has been like a really rewarding and interesting experience. And it's just kind of sad that no one else will really get the experience that we're getting. And so Brandon Fancher and Mike Manfredi, they had a Telegram AMA, and I had asked them, how are you finding that balance with the continuity and accountability? And Brandon had said that perhaps in version 3, because it seems like in version 1 there's a lot of continuity, and in version 2 there's a lot of accountability, and perhaps in version 3 we can get more of a middle ground. Brandon had suggested, but yeah, it's kind of sad that no one else will get to experience this like we are.
Yeah, and that uncertainty makes it hard to push ahead with a lot of like what we should be doing. Like we're figuring out what we should be doing on our own. Like there's very little involvement in what we should be doing. And so we've been coming up with what we think could be the best direction forward. But version 2 kind of puts that on its head, which I think is, I've said this before and probably on the last call, but maybe version 1 and version 2 need to be run in parallel until version 3 merges them together again. And I think that will largely depend on how successful we end up being at the end of this process. So we're not in control of the process, just like elected officials aren't in control of the processes they participate in. There's a whole can of worms we could get into there, but we'll see.
Yeah. Go ahead, Lovejoy. You go.
No, go ahead. You start.
Yeah, it seems to me like More Equal Animals is a book that anybody can read and use. And the Eden process, also known as Fractal Democracy or political playoffs, is a process that anyone can use. So I think what we're still doing is really important, and it still absolutely can be used. Like I think it's still important that we continue on exactly the mission that we're on. So we've got confirmation now that the next election is not going to take place until April. So we still have a long runway to sort of see this through. And I don't know, I'm of the opinion that we just kind of stay the course. Like, let's still see how a legal entity could serve this, and what is the best way to do that, and how does an entity like this have physical assets in the real world, and is a trust the way to go, or all the debates we've had and all the discussions all the time. I don't think it's wasted. I think we still continue. Maybe a website isn't as important now because the content may change drastically, so maybe that's not as important. But in terms of the process and what we're here to do, I still don't think we should be deterred. And because someone else, another community, might choose to just take what we've done and do their own iteration. Like, for example, what I think from all this right now, and then all of this Eden time that we've spent, for me, one of the iterations and one of the use cases that I think someone's probably going to explore will be an Eden, a stricter entry into an Eden community that requires more vetting and more background, and using that set of people to deliberately hold an election for leadership, just for leadership, like board members on a board, and it's salaried positions. So instead of being stewards of community funds, which is what we were selected to do, it would be stewards of a board or a foundation, and it would be salary jobs, and they go through the process and select for leaders. And that's what and then those leaders have responsibilities within a community, and it could be a blockchain. It doesn't have to be, but I still think there's a lot of value in that. And so we should still continue forward. That's sort of how I view this.
Yeah, well, regardless of whether or not we utilize a company, it's not it's not going to be the last time we have that question, I think, like in our careers. So it'd be good information to have, and good information to be able to share to the rest of the Eden community as to what this kind of, looks like. So whatever feedback we do get from the lawyers, perhaps we could sort of write that up in a blog post or whatever, or sort of just, share that kind of knowledge of what, it can look like from sort of legal perspectives. But yeah, I think I said last meeting, we shouldn't let the sort of changes take too much wind out of our sails. Sort of stay on course until we know exactly what's going on for sure. While there isn't going to be chief delegates, there is still going to be, I think, the council. So there's still going to be, like, leaders and in a sense as well. So it's not, sort of every member.
Why do you think that, John, about the council?
Because Dan told me there'll be a council.
Oh, okay.
I think we should form a legal entity and then stubbornly refuse to step down as chief delegates, and just be like, we are the official one and only, the first and the last chief delegates of all time.
Actually, on that note, John, the that image that you had done with us six, remember that? Maybe that should be like a commemorative NFT. Like, we're like maybe the first and only chief delegates. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah, you're I mean, it's a little,
It's a little what?
What's the word I'm looking for? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't think we're that special that we need our own commemorative NFT in some ways, but like,
I do.
I mean, we're
well, that's why I brought it up, I guess. That implies that I do.
No, I mean, like, we're definitely here at a unique moment in history, and we were the people at this time, and other people, like, this is a very interesting stage of development of this process, and I'm sure we'll leave our mark.
Very humble of you.
Yeah, so the thing is, we can all be founders of a community. We shouldn't forget that, right? Aaron, you can be a founder of Wallet Plus, right? And most of the guys who are creating wallets eventually are going to use your standard or your protocol, right? So over time, you build that community. Violet Garden, content creation, right? With time, you're gonna have a lot of users and you're gonna have your own community. Jesse, you have the bees, marketing. Over time, you're gonna have so many hives. And as a founder, you have to put some of the fractal democratic principles into play to see how you can have proof of work, how you can allocate budgets to your hives and eventually to the workers. Brandon is doing a great job contributing to the community. Eventually wants to start his own fractal films, which if you have 10,000 people in fractal films, you have to manage all of them. You have to pay them. How are you going to do that? How are you going to manage everyone? Right.
It's fractal.
So you will have to have fractal principles, right?
Yeah.
With support, our goal is to eventually have support for EOS across the globe. All right, it's DAOs on DAOs. So when someone needs help, they need to talk to somebody, right? So we want to have this in different localities or different languages, right? And Randall here cannot be in Africa somewhere teaching someone EOS, but the standard has to be universalized so that the content can reach those localities. We have Chris starting Helios, doing auditing, all right? Eventually, Chris starts his own VC company with so many people. You still have to vote. You still have to elect leaders. So we can still use this. So as the 6 founders or chief delegates, we have a lot of responsibility to push this forward and to carry forward all the experiences that we've learned here. So I really feel like we have to be one and only chief delegates. And eventually to pass this forward and to do something that is going to be much greater. That when we talk about EOS and how it started, we were here and we participated in it. And eventually we created some of these communities. All right. And I think I remember I was going back and forth with Dan regarding using VOW as the token. And he was like, it can be one of the tokens for a community. And it clicked to me what this is about. Imagine all of us creating our own communities with different tokens, which are so valuable and is pegged to EOS. That's what Fractal is about. The trunk is going to be EOS, but we are all going to be tentacles that is supplying this trunk. And I thought about it. One guy was talking about something and I was like, dude, if inflation is like blood, it's supplying every single organ. So the communities are like a hand, feet, head, and we have the body, and we are all part of it. So we help EOS grow. And that's basically how I'm seeing it. The details is yet to come, but I think overall, what we are doing now is the beginning. Without us, this doesn't happen. So we've done a great job. We have to be very happy and, pat ourselves on the back and continue working, and whatever that this turns out to be, at least we have to be proud of what we've done. That's how I see it.
And to come full circle, I think my uncertainty is that the software that we are using today to make this happen may not exist in 2.0. So the knowledge that we've all learned and the experience we've all gained is absolutely valuable. And that can be applied to whatever is coming next. But the literal system that we're using has the potential to completely go away. And it could be re-implemented. It could be forked off. This is all open source. But that's a lot of effort. And that involves spinning up your own dev team to maintain that. I mean, we're seeing that within the EOS.io space right now. The big discussion that's going on about like, okay, how do we take this code base and now make it managed by the community to do the things that we want it to do and fit the processes we want it to fit. The same situation is being said right now here for the EdenOS as well. Like, we have a point in time where the core software is changing radically. And if we wanted to maintain something similar to what this is today for people to use in the future for the same purposes, a forecast to be maintained that has that the same structure, the same political playoffs and things like that, in order to keep using it. Unless you're going to do it all offline, which is completely possible. But I think that's where a lot of the uncertainty, at least for me, comes from, is just that the way that all of this has happened so far may not be possible in version 2 from a software perspective. Like, and again, obviously our experiences in all of this and the way that we're going about this is completely separate from that. But there are challenges that will come from being able to take this stuff and move forward with it in the capacity that we're trying to use it today. So I don't disagree with anything anybody has said about, you know, the way this has gone so far, but just realize that if the core team, Clarion OS at this point, veers off into the 2.0 model where there are no chief delegates and there's no leadership, the system we depend upon doesn't exist anymore. Like it could exist, but it'll take a lot more effort than what we have today. So from an engineering point of view, that's where a lot of my concern comes from. Like the community is stronger than ever from my point of view. And there's a lot of good that's come of that. And I think we're going the right direction, but it's just going to be bumpy. And I could say the same thing about EOS.io as a whole. So it's going to be bumpy, but it's going to take some effort and it's going to be an uphill battle.
Mandel has not seemed to stick so far, in my view.
No,
I know it's going to be a tough one. People keep saying EOS.io. Aaron, is it like, should we all be saying Mandel or what's the deal with that?
I don't know. It was dumped on me just like it was dumped on everybody else. It's a proposed name as far as I'm concerned as a placeholder. It's the idea that the name is going to change for multiple reasons. We don't have to dive into that, but it's a placeholder. Like if we come up with something better as a community, if once the EOS.io chains come together and they have a better vision for what they want to call it, they can decide as well. I've been in conversations this week about that. It's a matter of just coming to consensus about what it's called. And ultimately it probably doesn't matter a whole lot, at least not for a while. So
is the name Mandel like as it's imagined, like the position in like this sort of nomenclature, like is it imagined as like the version name of the software, or is it, you know, like, because part of me wants to think of it as like, you know, Mac OS as like Yosemite and then whatever, and they just go through name changes based on the software upgrades, but they don't call it. Like no one says, I got the latest version of Yosemite. They say it's Mac OS or whatever, you know.
I think the goal is to come up with kind of the last name of like what the chains are. Like EOS as a blockchain, that's kind of its first name, and EOS.io is kind of its last name. Which is super confusing. It's like you're John Johnson or something. That's a bad example, but
yeah, that's good.
But that, at least from my perspective, is what we're looking to change, just kind of that name of the family to something that's less confusing, which I don't know that this achieves. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but it's just what brings us all together under this common technology stack. And I don't think there's really good examples across the ecosystem of something like this. Like you look at some of the other Bitcoin variations and they don't have a name for what that's called. It's just, they're like a fork of Bitcoin. It'd be better if there was like a family name of that.
So Aaron, EOS.io is still going to be there, right? Because we don't know if Bullish is going to continue that software, whatever, we are not sure. But the fork of it is going to be called something. And then everything under that will be called that new name. But EOS.io is still going to be there, but we just
I have no
Maybe.
idea. It
because I think
might just be abandoned.
yeah, but still Bullish is going to be using EOS.io.
They might be using whatever this is called. We have no idea. There's going to be more development resources put into this new thing than Bullish is going to put into EOS.io.
And they only need to make, as far as I understand it, for what they need specifically for like private chains. Haven't they like kind of focused on more private? It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's a bit Linuxy kind of in a sense, like the many flavors of Linux. You know, if we could essentially end up being like the Debian of Linux, and then people use that as the core and then do their own flavor for what their needs are.
Yeah, there's probably a good comparison in there between Linux and Unix. Like Unix being, I think, the original that Linux then renamed itself and spun off of. That's probably a decent analogy as to where we're at. EOS.io is kind of the Unix, and the community will spin off of that and have something new being the Linux, and then the Ubuntus and the Debians and the Red Hats and everything are going to be based in the Linux family. Like they're not Unix anymore. Like Unix is something else. It has kind of its own thing. They have a common ancestry, but they are now two independent things. So yeah, it'll be interesting. So, and I have always been against this whole let's name different things the same thing but just slightly different. I railed against this back in the Steam days because we had Steam It, and Steam It Inc. And nobody knew what any of them were because they were all Steam as this unique word. So really something unique needs to exist that is completely different. Just because first glance, people are going to see it and they're like, oh, that's the same thing. Just like people do with EOS.io and EOS today. So for me, that's one of the biggest reasons to make that break and to stop calling it EOS.io is because it confuses it with EOS.
Rather than picking a name out of a hat or something that somebody just thought of personally, what I would like to see from the community is to work with a marketing agency or somebody that does this for a living and can help this fledgling software community have blockchain community have a distinct brand in the world, because it's not like a trivial thing that you just kind of like, oh, that sounds good. Like I'm qualified to just be like, you know, I ran it by a few people, you know, like I would rather see, we're in a really crowded attention economy space and we need something that's going to stand the test of time. And then people like that are thinking about the same problem you're relating right now, which is the naming similarity problem. Yeah, you can't have like the Steam It for the EOS.io issue anymore. It's just too fuzzy. It's too ambiguous.
Agreed. So I'm assuming we'll see that play out over the next couple months. So I don't think there's any huge rush.
Yeah. Back to your NFT comment. I mean, I think that'd be cool to do a chief delegate one, and maybe others. But what I'm really still stoked on, and maybe I should just start making bounties or something, because I don't have the capacity to do like high quality NFT sets on my own. But I really want to see this community it be giving itself NFTs like merit badges for having made it through certain stages of, like I was there when badges, I think that'd be so cool. We should, but I don't know who's responsible for, deciding who gets what badges and all that stuff.
Whoever the NFT creator is.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Maybe we just empower a handful of NFT creators in the Eden community that I just think we should, in the space that we're in, it doesn't make sense to me that we're not just like doling out NFTs like unique and specific to either contributions, like things we've like lived through together, or just special achievements or something like that. I think that'd be really cool. I want to see it happen.
To
So
put our
if anyone,
scars on the blockchain.
our scars, yeah, our scars are our like, yeah, depending on how you want to look at it,
It's gamification.
Yeah, like an
Make-
element of,
Yeah.
yep. Yeah, and then like who knows? Maybe we're throwing parties in the future, and we're just like, you can only get into the party if you have this like specific NFT. Like this NFT will get you access to like XYZ, or yeah, it'd be fun to just play around with stuff like that. I mean, Violet Garden could probably do some stuff like that. I see you're starting to like think about how to incorporate
Yeah.
NFTs.
Yeah, there'll be a cool few things that we could definitely add on the lists. How would you envision like distributing them? Like, would it just be if anyone goes to a particular website and press a button, they get the NFT, or do they have to be in a Zoom call to get it, or anything like that?
Like for what I'm suggesting, or for something
Yeah.
on Violet Garden? Yeah, for what I'm suggesting. Well, that's yeah, I mean, it'd be nice if we had some sort of system level thing we could call. It's like, who was member? I mean, we could probably look this up pretty easily. Like, who was a member when event X happened, or like who was on a certain call, like who, or like at the very least, we should have badges for like who participated in the elections, and then like the delegates, and then the different second level and chief delegates and so forth. Aaron, you'll have a 1 of 1. You're the 1 of 1 of forever, infinity, probably. The first and last head chief delegate.
That's the lotto winner. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how. I mean, this is kind of a fun thing that we could probably do as chief delegates, is just decide on like what some of these should probably be, and because it's for fun, and then just like pitch in to have some awesome artists create the NFTs, and then make sure they get put together as NFTs with all the right attributes and whitelisted or whatever we have to do, and release them as EOS NFTs probably. I don't know. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's entirely possible. And I think the reason it hasn't happened is just because we are so decentralized that there's no group that is like, let's execute on that. Anybody could literally do this. It's the problem with extreme decentralization, and that it's like, okay, now that anyone can do it, who's going to do it?
Well, being that we might be the first and last chief delegates, maybe like it's up to us.
Maybe.
Yeah, let's do it. We can find an artist to do a few events. We'll make a Google Doc on just creating a list of particular events that we would like to do. I guess we'll just hand the NFTs out to Eden members only.
To start, I think. Yeah. I'm thinking about the Eden community currently, the Eden on EOS community.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, let's do it. I'll make a Google Doc, shall I?
Yeah, cool.
Just like that.
Yeah, and we can do different, like we could get multiple artists to do, different things.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. It depends what you want the style to be. The advantage with the one artist is like a consistent like style, because then there's a sort of like a uniformity about it. But then maybe we want stuff a bit more abstract, and I guess like cost as well. We want uniformity, because it kind of suck if one NFT, like the artist charged us $100 a one, and then the next artist was like $2,000 or, you know, whatever. I don't know.
Right.
And then I guess, you know, speed of getting them out as well. Because if it's a real pain to get another artist every time, then it might sort of slow down the engine. I don't know.
No, yeah, you're right. That makes sense.
We'll work it out.
Yeah, well, we can find somebody that we all kind of dig, I guess, and just the community didn't know they were electing us to be like aesthetic judges, but it's too late now.
What do you guys think of my artist that I had for oh yeah, you know, for the thingies, made the Eden thing where, you know, the image that Jesse just brought up, and then if you haven't seen the Violet Garden NFTs, the sort of background that you have on those, that's all done by the same artist, so we could use her possibly, unless you guys got suggestions. I'm open to whatever.
Yeah, well, let's look at you know, let's take it into the Chief Delegate channel and maybe like throw up some art and like talk about it and see if we can find somebody that we all kind of appreciate. Yeah, I'm open to. I just like to see it get done, to be honest. Like, it doesn't need to
Yeah,
be.
well, let's all agree to keep some sort of sense of urgency on it. Otherwise, this is something that we can keep kicking down the road again and again. Actually, speaking about that, the Twitter account, are we giving up on that, or what's the going?
Well, okay. I mean, yeah, at this point, apart from like, I don't know if Eden is even going to stay Eden.
Yeah.
And I don't know if like if all the branding isn't going to change, and if the socials we now have are even going to be socials that we want, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, and then so it's
there will be a rename. I know that. But
I had a
so go on.
Yeah, I mean, I had a sneaking suspicion that like none of this is set in stone, and then, you know, like back to the naming issue problems that Aaron was just talking about. It's like Eden on EOS, Korean Eden on EOS, Chinese Eden on EOS, Eden on Ethereum. Like, there's like too much. It's like we need a better naming convention altogether. And so that anyway, I just think like, well, I mean, I've given up trying to contact our person about the Twitter account, but you know, that's not like the only thing in the world that's
Yeah, well,
you know, we control the majority of the other accounts, and so everything kind of hangs in the balance currently. So, but why do you ask?
Yeah, I don't know. Just seeing if we can close that off. I don't know. I feel like it'd be a bit disappointing if we kind of, you know, talk about stuff in the past and then we never actually finish it, kind of thing. It'd be good to, you know, go from the beginning, middle, and end, and not just let it drop into the abyss and get completely forgot about. One of the hurdles that we still had. Sorry, go on.
Maybe I should issue a bounty to whoever can get a hold of that account. Should I do that?
Yeah, potentially. But yeah, I guess with that name, it's not that important. But actually, I was gonna ask about strategy for that, but again, if we're only got the one term and then it's gonna be different, maybe not.
Well, like on Twitter, you can change both the screen name and the actual @ name from the same account, right?
Okay.
Yes, and look, it's actually like a harder problem than it seems. Like, if Annabella is not answering, no one can get a hold of her. She has the password to that account. It's not as simple as just starting a new account. I mean, the account has 1,700 followers.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what I was.
We start a new
thinking,
account, and then we got 3 accounts now because there's another EdenOS account. So it's not an easy problem.
Well, has anyone else besides me tried to reach out recently?
Not recently, but
Not
we
recently.
tried earlier. That's why, you know, I thought maybe you could maybe reach out to her. But Dario tried a couple of times, but we didn't get any response. So
Hey, Annabella, if you're watching this, do you mind handing over that
The Twitter account.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we've spoken about this every other meeting, and she hasn't been watching that one. Well,
It's like
or she's
comical.
watched it, she's been ignoring that. I don't know.
Is it something we said?
Maybe we should start a new Twitter account.
Or
We
does it
haven't
even
really-
matter?
Haven't
Like
really
if the
talked
thing's
about that.
changing anyway and the name's changing,
No,
it might all be
but we can change the
Well,
name.
the followers.
Oh
we
yeah,
can
that's
change-
true. Yeah, good point.
Taking the followers with would be nice, and because those are people that we're interested in.
Yeah, well, that was the
Yeah.
strategy from day one, but that's not going through. So yeah, I'd say let's just go to plan B now. How long have we waited for this one?
Yeah, let's start a new account.
Yeah.
It would be useful if this NFT thing comes together. You could like talk about those. We could share the video links. We could do, you know. There is
So
some
we've
use.
we've got Eden, I think EdenOS, and we've got the real EdenOS. And what would we be? Don't say.
I was going to
Stuff
say,
like that.
Right.
Yeah.
if we pick a name,
Wait.
we got to register it before.
Oh, this isn't
the video's
posted live
released.
yet. This isn't live. Yeah.
The for
Watch it.
real Eden on EOS.
Everyone's squats are. It just becomes a running joke trying to keep. It's like, yeah, keep the chief delegates from.
Something on EOS.
I think we need to make a rule: no more saying Annabella's name anymore. That is that's like Voldemort. That's like Voldemort now.
I didn't
No
say
more.
it. You brought it up. Well, I wouldn't go that far.
It's a joke. It's a joke.
So for the second hurdles that we had, then there was also the debate about the account, sovereignty and stuff like that. Didn't we last determine that no account could be created without a bloody trust? Can we skip over that, or are we still gonna wait for a trust before we can have a Twitter account?
I don't think you have to wait for the trust to create the account. You just need to ensure that the account gets, into a trust, essentially, like in the custody of a trust. But it can begin either way.
So
And
are
that
we
part's
having-
still in play in 2.0. Having a trust to hold certain assets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but can we start the account first and then worry about the trust, or do we have to wait
Yeah.
for the trust?
Yeah, I think so. John. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. All right. We'll discuss the name of the account on Telegram then.
Yeah.
And then just go from there.
Cool.
I'll
that
tell all
we-
my
that-
bees
that
to
it's-
follow the account so we get a nice amount of followers up front.
It'll be a Christmas present, given that it's Christmas Eve here, and finally got a bloody Twitter account. Success.
John's been wanting this
Christmas,
more than anyone. Yeah.
the Christmas Chief's Twitter. I don't know.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
It's disappointing
cool,
that
guys.
we
Yeah.
didn't see
Let's do
Aaron in a Santa hat.
Oh, yeah.
You could have been Santa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, fresh out of Santa hats.
Yeah.
I have too many other hats. I had to get rid of them.
Photoshop's for. We'll give you one.
Sweet.
I have the whitest beard so far, but I keep trimming it, so I never catch up to Aaron, sadly.
I just trimmed mine. It's not quite as long.
I noticed it's a little more kempt.
Yeah, it's not just a jungle.
Yeah, you can notice that in the way
Wild
that
animals.
Aaron talks now. He
You-
seems a lot more calmer now that his beard is trimmed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he's
Less-
lost some.
So much more mellow.
He's lost some wizard power, though. You can kind of tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit. I don't have like the two little horns that came out the sides. Those were like the magic antennas.
Lovejoy, are you willing to work on looking into a trust this week?
Well, this week maybe give me 2 weeks,
Yeah,
just
not,
because
So
not
so
this week. Bloody Christmas.
Sorry.
It's
forgot.
like
Apologies.
leading up to the end of the year here. It's going to be a bit nutty, but I'd say about the 7th. J7.
So why don't we use the same lawyers from before?
Yeah, we could, but we won't be able to talk to them until after the new year either.
Yeah.
They're
But
gonna
I can
have
just-
responses for us anyway. That's, I mean,
In
'cause
the
we
new year,
mentioned a
they said,
trust.
pretty much.
Yeah, so I think part of that.
Oh, did we did ask about the, okay, I forgot
It
about
came
that.
up, yeah.
Yeah.
It was one of the items. I don't know if that's specifically what they were focusing on, but
We told them, we mentioned the fact that we needed something to hold assets. So hopefully they
Right.
have that's part of the solution.
well, I'll do some poking around and just see, just so I'm familiar with what it takes to, because there's multiple different kinds of trusts and it's kind of a minefield, but hopefully the lawyers can steer us right.
We all know
Yeah.
lawyers are on vacation right now.
Anyone that makes 6 figures is on vacation right now. Everyone else is like, I gotta go to work. Fuck.
We're just really
Yeah.
passionate.
Yeah. Passionate people. All right. Well, anything else concrete to discuss besides beards and trusts and
I think we've covered it in terms of the items on hold for mission and values, the question of where is Eden heading. Yeah, so I think we've covered that. Things are
Yeah,
elusive.
we're at an hour 15, and that's
Yeah.
pretty good.
I was gonna say, with our external dependencies on some of this, with the legal side and with talking about this sort of things, like not much progress is going to happen with our interfaces with the traditional world over the next week or so. So it's not surprising that we probably are light on topics because we're the ones crazy enough to keep working.
Are we gonna meet on Thursday the 30th? Or are we gonna, what do you guys think? It's the day before New Year's Eve, and for John, it is, I think, New Year's Eve.
I think we should all get
Is it
liquored
car?
up and hop on a call. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could have a New
Should we do
Year's,
drunk chief delegates for our next
Cheap
call?
dog. Except it's going to be like it's going to be a day drunk for John though. Before it's going to be nighttime for us. It'll
Drunken
just
history.
Flip a coin. Who gets drunk during the day?
We could flip
we
it to
should-
be another one of the fireside type chats where we just have the community with us as well. If we don't think we're going to have a heavy agenda just due to the timing of it all. I don't think much is going to
Yeah.
happen in the next week, but
That's a good idea.
I like that idea. Next Thursday,
me too.
do
Do a
Let's have a
fireside next
party.
Thursday?
yeah.
because it's like the day
wrap up.
before New Year's Eve for most people,
Yeah.
and end of year
a
wrap
year
up.
in review.
Hmm. Yeah,
That could be fun.
bring your, if you're a wizard, bring your potions. If you're, you know,
Actually, one more thing, the website, like I know that it's not worth going heavy on it because again, the sort of goalposts are sort of moving. But the one that I made, the Eden.community, would that suffice like for now, like just as an interim thing, or should I just delete it?
No, I think you should update it once we get what's going on in 2.0.
Yeah, but like if we just rolled over to it now, because like, you know, if it's an improvement, it's an improvement, isn't it? And then
Does
you
it
know,
matter for like the next week though? If we're going to be getting a white paper and for what Eden 2.0 looks like in 2 weeks?
don't
Well,
delete
that-
it.
that-
Yeah, don't delete it.
Uh,
Definitely.
Yeah,
don't delete
yeah.
it, and let's just sit tight for a little bit longer. I like you. I liked your website for the record, and
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah. But yeah, let's digest the white paper and I don't know. I'd like to see. I don't know. I'm not like a web, developer, but I'd like to see like the website be a very, back to the question I brought up from the forum about like the heck's going on? Like, how do I learn about any of this? Like, it'd be really nice if we had a website that made it easy for people to fall into the path that made sense to them and,
yeah, but
like a choose your own adventure.
websites are very, you know, dynamic. We don't have to, you know,
Yeah.
commit. They're not set in concrete, so you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not saying we should stall progress in order to have something that's like made from DreamWorks or something, but those are just my Christmas wishes. Yeah, sit tight on it, and let's see what happens with the white paper. Do we have is that like nigh as the white paper like coming out for Christmas? What's the deal?
The white paper is not coming out until January.
Yeah, he said first week of January.
Yeah,
first week of January. Okay, that works.
Yep.
So we should promote the Thursday night thing, the Thursday, the 30th. What do you want to do this same time roughly?
I'm sure.
Fine by me.
Cool. And should we use Telegram, do you think, or should we do something in how should
Discord?
What format? Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's what we
then
did last
use it
week.
as a way to get like lots of people in our Eden Discord that we don't have almost anyone in yet.
Is it set up right now?
Do we have
It's
any?
set up.
Oh yeah, we could do it in our Eden Discord. Forgot about that.
Do we
I
have
meant
one?
in terms of yeah.
Yeah, we do.
What?
You haven't
Yeah.
seen it, John?
John, we have an Eden Discord.
But
When did
That's
that
what it
happen?
was.
I'm gonna send John an invite right now.
It happened on the all delegates call 3 weeks ago. Yeah,
It's in our Chief Delegates Telegram chat, John.
it's not being yeah, I mean, I've got like so far it's like Chuck McDonald and Joshua Seymour and a handful of other people, but we could definitely use more people that understand Discord and how to, you know, Discord's really quite powerful actually, and it's a lot to learn, and I don't know that I have the bandwidth to be a full-time.
Yeah, they just need
Discord.
to add a voice channel for us, and we can do it in here.
yeah, that was what I was raising concerns about is if we are dependent on other people to be able to set up the permissions, make sure that we have an invite link that's going to be lasting long enough. Any sort of moderation that might be required. I don't know. So if we're not concerned about any of that, sure, let's use it. Otherwise, we have the EOS one that we could always use that we used last time, I think. Or did we not use that? I don't remember.
We did use it last
We
time.
did, yeah.
So
I guess
we
we
know
could
that works, but
we could do
I'm not
that and
opposed.
then use that occasion to tell everybody about the other Discord. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's better actually, because
'Cause
I feel
we
like a
do
lot
have
of people
some-
don't know about it. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe maybe that's the after party where whoever shows up gets the NFTs. And yeah. All right, well, let's take this rest of this conversation offline and or off Zoom, and yeah,
Yeah.
Happy holidays, everybody.
good talk.
Thanks.
Happy holidays, guys.
Yeah, you too.
Merry Christmas.
Peace on earth and
Merry
Christmas.
goodwill
Merry
towards
Christmas, everyone.
all.